Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Jeremiah 9 and 10. Now, I'm in the Karoo today on my way down to the Western Cape, and I found myself a dilapidated old farmhouse next to the freeway. And you'll see why I'm doing the video shoot here. So Jeremiah is looking prophetically into the future, and he sees his people being conquered, being laid siege to, taken into exile. And he says, oh, that my head were waters. That he's basically saying, I don't have enough tears to cry, such is the pain looking into the future. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I look at people's lives and I see what they're headed to because of their decisions, when I look at people when they get married to certain people, and I see where that's headed. Where people make business decisions going into massive debt, I see where that's headed. And that's what Jeremiah, he's looking at the result of the decisions that his fellow people have made. And then he says this, oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place for travelers, that I may leave my people and go from them. It's like I can see him coming through a wilderness like this, hoping that he could just pull away from his people and go and stay by himself. But alas, he doesn't see it. Just like behind me, there was a lodging place here, no more. He feels like that, like there's nowhere to go. I'm stuck with these people, and judgment is coming to them. And then he says, Judah has been given over to deception and lies. And he says, they do not know me. Now that word know, the word yada, denotes far more than just an intellectual knowledge. It's an intimate knowledge. So Jeremiah is saying, God is saying, the people don't know me intimately. They've forgotten me. Everyone will deceive his neighbor, and they will not speak the truth. He could be talking about today, couldn't he? Everybody making up truth for themselves. What is right? What is wrong? What's important? What's not? How relationships should be exercised, how they shouldn't, how we should live out our sexuality, how we shouldn't. We just make it all up as we go. The coming judgment and how to prepare for it is the next section from verse 7 through to 11. He says, I will refine them with judgment, which gives us a bit of a hint of why God's allowing them to be judged. He's saying, I want you better at the end of the day. And then he says, because they've forsaken my law, I'm going to give them gall to drink, and I'll scatter them among the Gentiles. And then he says this in verse 17 through 21. Consider and call the mourning women. Now, who the mourning women? Now, in those days, you could be a professional mourner. Women would get their hair all disheveled, throw dust into the sky, beat themselves, wail and mourn. And what they would do is they'd be psyching up the family, saying, you should be more sad than this. And so he's basically saying, there is such pain coming. Get the mourning women ready, because there's going to be weeping. There's going to be lamenting. And then he gives a vivid description of what the judgment's going to look like. He's basically saying, like the cuttings of the harvest is going to be the bodies just strewn all over the field. And then he says, this is how you prepare. Prepare for what's coming. Verse 23, 24. Let him who glories in this, let him who glories in this, that he understands and knows me. Goes back to that original thing. He says, listen, you want to get through that? Get to know God. You want to get to really get to know him. No, not about him, what he's done in the past. Really get to know him. And then there's a warning for those who reject the knowledge of God. Now, chapter 10, he basically pits God up against the idols of the world, and he mocks those idols. He says, do not learn the way of the Gentiles. Now that word learn literally means to become a disciple of. Don't become a disciple of the Gentiles. He says, this is what they do. They cut down a tree in a forest, and they decorate it with silver or gold. They knock planks on it to keep it up so it doesn't fall over. He says, don't do that. They're worthless. They just fall over. They're gods. Some people have used that verse to say that you shouldn't have Christmas trees, because chopping down trees, decorating with silver and gold. This is not about Christmas trees. This is about worshiping the tree. So whatever your view is on Christmas trees, this certainly isn't the anti-Christmas tree verse. The line in Jeremiah 10:5 says, they are upright like a palm tree. So these idols, he's still mocking them. And the commentators say here that this is more like a scarecrow standing in a cucumber field. And he's just mocking it. He says they were the work of skillful hands, But he's basically saying, God creates men, men create idols. Don't be stupid. Don't go and follow the ways of the world. And then it ends with Jeremiah's prayer, praying on behalf of the people, saying, listen, the flocks are going to scatter. And then a humble plea to God. God, please intervene. Please intervene. He knows he can't run away to a lodging place like this. Please intervene. It's his humble cry as he ends the chapter.